You're not the only one feeling or thinking what you're feeling and thinking, mama. I am too. Welcome to the Mom Bar, a pro mama, mother loving community focused on sharing simple truths, intimate thoughts, and real discussions about the journey of motherhood. All while committing to love the life that God has designed for you. This is a space for first time mamas, work from home mamas, baby mamas, millennial mamas, stay at home mamas, single mamas, angel mamas, insert here types of mamas. And if you can check more than one of these boxes, the Mom Bar is exactly where you need to be. I'm your host, Day Hayes, stay at home mama, recovering perfectionist, mother of 3 under 3, wife, author, and most importantly, to all of my identities are being a daughter of Christ. We've been kept out of grown folks' business for way too long. But hey, we're here now. So let's talk about it. As your MFF, mama friend in faith, I'll hold space so you can mind your motherhood, vulnerably share my own mom tales, remind you that you are still that girl, and decide if the issues that we're dealing with should be pumped or dumped. So get in, mama. We're going on a faith ride.
Okay.
I'm so excited that you're here to spend some time with us at the Mom Bar, Martina. This is one of
Hey,
my good
girl.
friends, like I already mentioned in the intro. So we're going to jump into my favorite segment, which is called Pump or Dump. It's a little game that I like to play with my guests where we kind of go through some hot topics about motherhood, myths, and you tell me pump like you agree or dump you disagree. So the
Okay.
first question that I have for you is, it is your responsibility to make sure that your child is not disturbing other people when you are in small spaces. Pump or dump?
Dump.
I know that's right.
No, it's
I thought it
not.
was you, that man on that airplane having that
It's
fit.
not. It's
I was
not.
like,
You come
sir,
into a public place, that means there are people going to be there, including little children. It is not my problem or issue to figure out if my child wants to be a child in a public place.
say
You can
that.
excuse yourself. Thank you so much. God bless you.
That
Bye
part.
bye.
God bless you. Bye bye. All right. Pump or dump? It is totally fine to leave the house as a pregnant woman with your belly out, midriff showing. You don't have to wear maternity clothes if it's not your
Can I pump dump it?
I feel the same way because honestly, we were at the beach for our family vacation. I was like, I don't feel comfortable showing my stomach. But Rihanna
Like, okay,
did it
because I
well.
mean,
That's my thing.
I think I don't know. It's because I feel like how is a pregnant woman showing her belly any different than a regular woman showing her belly, right? But then it's just like sometimes some people be looking crazy, like, girl, put that away. But then
But the
also,
people
I'm
who
not
don't be
judging
pregnant
you.
be looking crazy too.
Exactly. So that's why I'm just like, that ain't in my business. I don't know. Um, I'm gonna have to say pump because it's not my circus, it's not my monkey. So if you want to go outside and look crazy, that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Not my circus, not my monkey. I absolutely love it. All right, last one. Pump or dump. We should treat women the way that we have been treated in the past. And so, what I talk about this, I mean, in regards to like mentorship from other people, pump or dump.
Oh, can you say it one more time? I got to think about that one more time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We should treat the women we come in contact with the way that we have been treated. Let me be specific about this in the workspace.
In the workplace?
In the workplace, yeah.
Oh, I think it's a dump because there's no blanket, like, there's just no across the board. You gotta navigate relationships based on the person that you're dealing with. I don't think that there's unless it's like a across the board, you're being treated with kindness, you're being nurtured, you're being helped, you're being guided, then I will pump that all the way. But it just depends on the kind of workplace relationship that you're experiencing. experiencing, because I don't want to co-sign on something that is crazy.
Thank you, because a lot of people out here
So,
co-signing on crazy. I want to get into something that you actually just said. Thank you for playing Pump or Dump. The navigating relationships. I think it takes a really strong sense of self-awareness to be able to navigate those relationships. And you and I, we're both married, and we got married, then we quickly had kids, and like life just happened fast.
yes,
Like it
fast,
happened fast.
fast.
And so I'm sure that you've had to develop your self awareness with your partner being both a wife and a mother. And I want you to kind of talk about how you have navigated the relationship of evolving from being the single woman to now the married woman to now the married woman with 2 kids.
Girl, it is ghetto. That's what it is. That's the
It's in the
navigation. It's
ghetto.
ghetto. But I mean, okay, so first let me say this. I love my family. I love being a mom. I love being a wife. I love all of the things that I have learned. I love the woman that I'm becoming in that space. However, it is hard. And anybody who tells you otherwise, they ain't done it for real yet. They ain't been in it long enough. I'll start with marriage because it came first. Transitioning from being single to being somebody's wife was challenging for me because I have always been very independent. Like, do my own thing. I get up and go. I'm that girl. Like I've just always been Miss Independent. Like I moved out of my parents' house when I was after I left college, I didn't come back home. So, I had my own space. I did and took care of myself. My husband, he was home with his parents until he got married. So coming into marriage with those two different experiences, I think we both had different expectations, or probably we didn't set our expectations about what we wanted from each other in a lot of ways. So that in the beginning caused friction because I expected certain things while he was expecting other things. And so it was just like, okay, well, who's right? And so we had to first come to the realization that nobody's right. This clip of Michelle Obama has been going around a lot about how if you have 10 good years of marriage and 20 bad years, you're doing great. And a lot of people on the internet do not like that. But she's right. Marriage is just about always figuring out ways to compromise. And the greatest lesson I've learned in the past 5.5 years of being somebody's wife, a very proud wife, is you got to figure out how to serve your partner. That is your job. It's not about you. And if both of you understand that it's about taking care of the other person in the way that they need to, then that's what, for me at least, was the light bulb. And like, because I was really still trying to do my own thing.
You
Not in
are
the,
out here ministering, by the way. I just want to say you are ministering to my soul, and I'm sure to
oh
all the
Lord,
people's souls.
girl, yes, because it's really like, and the thing about it is, I really could talk about this for a really long time. So I'm going to shut myself up soon because for my husband and I, we have really come a long way, especially when it comes to communication. That was really challenging for us because I am very strong-willed and my husband is very hot-tempered. So those two things together in the beginning, it was a challenge. And it was just like, obviously, we love each other. We are this, it's like, hey, boo, hey, but don't piss me off. You're going to make me mad today. And so, there were those moments where it's just like, why is this so hard to talk to you? Like, why do I feel like you don't understand me? And my husband said that I can't remember when it was, but that was a breakthrough for me because I was sad by it. He was just like, I feel like you just don't understand me. I feel like you don't understand who I am. You are making all these assumptions about things that you think about me instead of really talking to me. And that really hurt my feelings, Deidreana, because I'm just like, no, I know you. I love you. This is the boy I met when I was in college. Like, that giddy, like honeymoon
It's that
thing.
navigating though, because I think
Yeah.
something that I've learned in marriage too is the fact that like as much as I have evolved, and I think that you and I do a really good job of being self-aware. Like we recognize who we were in college, but we are
Yeah.
also aware of the woman we're evolving into today.
Yeah.
So much so that sometimes we don't look at other people like that. Like we
Yeah.
don't recognize that, yes, you're the guy that I met in college and I fell in love with, and that's giddy.
Yes, but
Also the
you're
same
not.
guy that I've married who has evolved and gone through his
Yeah,
challenges and his disappointments and his, maybe missed expectations about things. And you're trying to
yeah,
work through that as well. And so like, how do I
exactly.
serve you and show up as your wife and your friend first to support you through that the way that you supported me? So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I definitely get it.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we are now. It's just like there is just a deep, loving respect for the fact that we are still individual people evolving continuously, but we are committed to growing together continuously. And that's not always pretty. It's not always Instagram worthy. And I think one of the problems that I have with our generation is they are so quick to show y'all the trips, the this, the bags, the gifts, but they don't want you to know like
What's
the hard
actually going
stuff
on?
that's going on, like the day-to-day real life. And
Because girl,
so
I want to know
they
how many wipes of napkins is in that bag. How about that?
exactly. So it's just like I never want people to feel like, my Instagram feed or our cute pictures are a reflection of, what life is like every day. No, we're people working through challenges, and we're gonna figure it out. But there's a commitment there. And so I think that's the main thing. It's just like I've learned to, one, serve as a wife first, and two, be committed to his change, and also honor the changes that I'm going through, and create harmony within that, because balance ain't a thing, especially when you start talking about them kids.
I'm done with the word balance. I won't say I gave up on it, but I just have a shifting perspective, which I know we
Yeah.
haven't gotten to the kids yet, but I kind of want to shift about this concept of balance doesn't exist. I've recognized where I need to make compromises. I'm serving as a wife. You guys will definitely get more information about Martina, but she is also an entrepreneur. And so she has, I don't even like to call it a side hustle because I've seen the development of your agency and where you started. And I totally believe in where God is taking you, and it's going to be extraordinary. I want you to kind of talk about how you wear this hat of being an entrepreneur as well, because some of us start entrepreneurship while we're married and while we have kids, and we feel like we're not as consistent as the mom blogger who's posting and sharing her everyday experiences, and we're just like, I can't pick up the phone to post a picture because I got food all over me right now. Like,
Exactly.
I want you to
Exactly.
kind of share about what compromises have you made in motherhood and marriage to allow yourself to evolve into an entrepreneur as well.
So I have a very deep commitment to my purpose, and it has been a lot of self-sacrifice, almost sometimes to my detriment. And when I recognize it's getting to that point, I always pull back. But I am committed to doing what I need to do. And that's kind of what has carried me I started my business in 2019. So since then, and then, adding children to the picture, it's required self-sacrifice. That's literally it. You just have to be willing to recognize you ain't gonna get some sleep. You're gonna be tired a lot of times. You're gonna miss out on some moments. That, I think, recently has been hitting me the hardest. And I'll share kind of my new strategy for overcoming that. But in the beginning, it was a lot, just working all the time. I mean, not even the beginning, till now. I'm still constantly working all the time, but I'm learning how to truly create harmony within a schedule that works for me. I think for me, creating systems in my life what has allowed me to now get to where I am without feeling like I constantly got to be on the computer, constantly got to be on the phone. Because on top of managing motherhood, marriage, I still work a 9 to 5 because I'm not going to let that go until I absolutely have to, because I carry the insurance in the relationship. And so I understand the importance of that. And I'm also not going to pay $2,000 a month for that yet. I'm just not ready to commit to that.
That's
So,
real, because I know a lot of people out here like, just take the leap, be an entrepreneur. God tell me.
no, baby. I need to make sure my baby
Everybody's
goes to the
story.
doctor.
Like some of us have other things that we have to be able to take care of.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, people just glamorize entrepreneurship in such a way that I abstain. Again, not my circus, not my monkey. If you want to go ahead and risk it all, baby, do what works for you. But as for me and my house, I'm going to keep this 9 to 5 as long as I can. And God has blessed me so much in a role that gives me so much flexibility. And that wasn't the case in my last job. I really was in a sunken place. I was so depressed over it. I hated the work I was doing. I was literally on the computer all day, just churning out work that just felt so unaligned or misaligned. I think it's misaligned. So I prayed about it and I said, God, I need to get out of this job. I know I need a job, but I need to leave this one. And so I was 6 months pregnant and I made the choice to quit and pursue a new opportunity. And thankfully they were like, come on, baby, we see you. It's okay. So, but in terms of just like finding harmony within all of the responsibilities, because at this point now I have 3 businesses that are all running well. And so it's just finding the systems to allow me to create space. And so I've started basically creative blocking. That's what I call it. And so like I have 4 blocks, 4 90-minute blocks throughout the day that are dedicated to work, and anything outside of those times is for family, relaxation, like peace, because I didn't have that before. And so it's really just like, okay, what do I need to do? It's just really systems. That's really it. Like have a system for everything in the house, and get the kids in line. And so once the kids are in on a routine and a schedule, I create my life around them because they in charge. That's it. Some people say they make their kid schedule around them, but that hasn't worked for me. So I just created my schedule around my kids so that I could spend time with them. And when they go to bed, that's my last block of the day. And still finding time. My husband and I are just getting back into going out and spending more quality time together, just because after I had my daughter, he broke his ankle. And so he's been down since November and is really just getting back to himself. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But I'm thankful that, I've been able to support him through this season because it's been challenging. So it's just really about being open to adapt and disciplining yourself to do what you need to do for every season that you're in.
And that's the point right there. Like that I feel like is missing for a lot of people. One, there's no way you can get out of doing the work that needs to be done. Like nobody wants to do the work. Nobody
Yes.
wants to do the hard work. I was reading Maddie James's book, Everyday Magic.
Everyday magic. Mm-hmm.
And she talks about that. Like nobody wants to do the work. Like work, you
Yes.
have to do the work. And even if
Yeah.
that's small times a day, and something I really admire that you've been able to do, that I find, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm doing the right things. That's systems, creating time management and disciplining yourself in such
Yeah.
a way that you're sticking to time. So for me, like with the mom bar, it was like, I have a deep commitment to what God has called me to do, and I'm going to work on it for maybe it's a 15-minute block, maybe it's a 30-minute block,
Yeah.
but I'm going to do something every day, and I'm going to continue to
Mm-hmm.
do it. And the more I did it, the more the kids began to, oh, mommy is working.
Yes.
I'm respecting the time that she has right here. Or my husband, oh, she wants to work on her podcast at this moment. Let's work around the schedule that we do have and being flexible. And I think it's really commendable because our kids need to see that.
Yes, they
They need to
do.
see
They
us
need
beyond
to.
being a mother, beyond being a wife. They need to be able to have, and people say, well, they won't remember. I don't care if they won't remember. If I can start building
Yes.
the foundation now so that they understand when they are older not that I am sacrificing or putting work above you, but I want you to be as deeply committed to your purpose and your calling and what you're passionate about as your mom has been as well. And to recognize your mom as a human. And I didn't always see my mom like that until I became a full adult. But I think
Yeah.
because the self-sacrificing was to self-sacrifice herself for me as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
a little sad. And I'm sorry, y'all, about
Yeah.
all of the everybody want to do yard work today. I
Oh,
know.
girl, I can barely hear it. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Everybody want to do
Oh,
yard.
you're fine.
Something that you mentioned, and this is we're gonna kind of jump into our Mind Your Motherhood segment talking about mental health, is you mentioned that sometimes you recognize that to your own detriment, you're kind of like really put your head into your work, but you recognize that you need to pull back. I wanted to kind of talk about what do you do to pull back, to give yourself grace and kind of recharge yourself.
Oh, all right. So let me first start with the moment that I recognized that I was far gone. And it started with my husband. And it was not recently, but a few months ago, like during his season of like he was down, down, down. And so him because his leg is broken, I picked up, the financial responsibility completely in the house. So I found myself doing a lot of work because I'm like, all right, I got to make sure that things da 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 da. But once we were good, I was still in that mindset of like work, 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 even though I didn't need to. And so he kind of silenced himself a lot of times because he recognized, she's doing what she needs to do to hold it down. So I'm just going to be quiet. But then I think what really pushed him over the edge was, and saying something to me was Nation was saying something to me, but girl, and he was like, mommy, mommy, and I wasn't hearing nothing. So finally, Javon is like, do you hear him talking to you? And I looked up and I was so caught off guard because I was like, wait, what? And so then it turned into a whole argument, girl. And so we had to put the baby out because he was upset. He was just like, I get, and I won't go into all of it. But that in that moment, I was like, dang, I really have to pull myself back. And the next day I heard him and Nation talking about it. And he was just like, I don't want to ask mommy because she's got to work. And so it really broke my heart. And I was like, okay, Martina, you got to reel it back, sis. Because these are the moments in your life where that can be pivotal in your child's development in terms of how they navigate the relationship with you and what to expect from you. And I do not want to be that parent that's constantly working, that's constantly on their phone. So I've become very intentional about, okay, this is the family block of my day. There's no interruptions. I'm very like rigid with the expectations of that time of the day because I know that, I want to set a good example for my kids and what they should expect for themselves and how people treat them and how people give them attention. And, so I think for me, that's really what helped pull me out of I don't know, my work hamster wheel, whatever you want to call it, just this addiction to work, basically. Um, but mentally, because I had spent so much time not doing what I wanted to do in terms of work, when I finally got the freedom to do that, I think I just got pulled so far deep into it. Which I think is a normal thing. It's just finding again a way to pull myself back out. But that's the thing that snapped me out of it and forced me to create better systems. Because at that time I had systems, but they just weren't as systemy and structured as they needed to be to allow me to create success within the house. Because even though I'm functioning in the role as breadwinner right now, I still have the job to be the nurturer. And my husband does a good job with being a really attentive and nurturing and loving dad, but there's this expectation that it still starts for me. So I model what that looks like. And so as soon as I'm outside of that space, that creates disruption and tension unnecessarily. And so I think that's how I pulled it back. And then when I realized that I wasn't taking care of myself enough, then I was just like, all right, girl, you really got to get it together. You really got to get it together.
What are some ways that you found to get it together?
So honestly, just taking a break. That's something I for a while I have not been doing. Taking a break, taking myself to the nail salon. Girl, I spent $600 on this hairstyle. I said, I'm gonna be cute
It's
today.
cute, by the way. I
So
like it,
yeah,
girl. It looked real
thank
good.
you. Yeah, so just like allowing myself to have moments of splurge, like, like I work hard, so I'm gonna start playing hard. And so it just allowed me to show up different. And just like if I, especially now having a girl, like that's the thing I dreaded about having a daughter was like I do not know if I could be a good example of how to be ladylike and loving and well, not loving, but like I don't know, just I just didn't know if I could
Likewise,
do
I
it.
feel the same way about my daughter, where I'm just like, am I showing her how she should carry herself in the right way? Like, yeah, I get it.
Mhm.
I definitely
Yeah.
get
So so I think that's part of my commitment to self-care is like Namia gotta know how to do this for real. Cause when these jokers show up at her door, she's gotta know, you know, how to carry herself so that they know not to play.
that's so true, because again, you talked about modeling. We need to model for our kids
Mhm.
how they should receive people, how they should respond to other people, and what expectation and standard that they have. And that truly does start with us in the home. Like, it's so important. And so I just want to shift gears just a little bit, because we're getting ready to come to a close. And I know that you and I can talk for days. Um, One thing I have to mention, so Martina and I definitely went to the same undergrad. We went to Spelman. I love and adore Spelman. Spelman holds a very special place in my heart. But as I've grown up, I've recognized how much undue, unnecessary tension I have on myself and the expectations that I have on myself, because of the being the overachiever that I feel like was really glorified when we were in school. And recognizing
Yeah.
that no longer works in this season that I'm in, and knowing that that's okay. And so in this segment, I want you to share with another mama who may be an overachiever, and maybe doesn't feel like they're doing the best job at being a mom and a wife and an entrepreneur and trying to wear all these hats. Like, what can you share with them today that's going to lead them in a place to be like, you know what? I'm doing all right. I'm fine. I'm good. And I'm going to get to where I need to be in the time I need to be there. What would you share with them?
I would say be intentional about documenting your life or your experiences because one of the things that has really helped me be a little kinder to myself um is just looking at where I started and where I'm at now. And even if that means moving from A to B, that's still forward movement. Like I'm still not at A. And so it's just like embracing the small steps forward instead of glorifying these big leaps that are not sustainable. And so for a long time, I was just like, oh, I need to get here. But it's like I would get there and couldn't manage. So now it's just like, if I can just get from A to B, then B to C, then D to E, like I can look back in 3 months and I was like, dang, I was at A. And it's just like, really being able to celebrate that. And so creating a win journal, like just a little note in your phone of all the things that you've been able to do. Or like, I know I use a task app now called To Do. And so I know this is going to sound silly, but sometimes I just scroll through all of my little completed tasks from like before. And I'll be like, dang, I got a lot done. Look at me moving forward, moving forward. And it's just like, it sounds silly, but it's just like when you can see it physically or like in a tangible way, it allows you to celebrate and be like, I got this, I can move forward. I know for me, it's funny, my husband is reading this book called, I think it's Happier You. And he was sharing with me yesterday. He was like, okay, these are the different brain types. And he was like, okay, this is the brain type I think you are. And I'm the balanced brain. I know he is a nerd. Let me tell you something. He's a nerd. He don't look like a nerd, but he's a nerd. So he was like, yeah, you're the balanced brain type because you're focused and task oriented. And like he read through it. I was like, wow, that really is how my brain works. And I share that to say also, you need to get to know yourself, like figure out what's going to work for you. Be honest with what works for you. Stop looking at other people. Stop going to all these blogs. And at this point in your life, if you're married with kids and have had some kind of experience of starting something or doing something, you know what works for you. You're probably not being honest about what works for you, but it is okay to not need somebody else's advice on how to create the system for you. You can create your own rule book as long as it's going to help you move forward and as long as you ain't doing nothing illegal. And if you're doing something illegal, that's your business. That's all right. But I mean, just really creating systems in your life to help you feel like, okay, yes, A to B, B to C, and just keep going, keep going, keep going. And then when you look back, you can celebrate even the smallest progress.
I love that. That's actually what I've been living by myself. Just this idea of progress over perfection. And does this honor me and what I value and what I believe? So I think that that's the best advice. And it's just more confirmation for me on the approach that I'm taking to life. So
Yeah.
I just want our community, the Mom Bar Collective, to know where we can find you, how can we support you, what do you need from this tribe, and how we can pour into you.
Oh, child. I have so many different things going on in my life. You know what? I'm going to follow the rule of one. You can follow me on my Instagram, my personal brand at martinachristian.co, and you can keep up with all the things there. I am really in a season of pouring into my creative community. And so I don't know when or how soon, but eventually I will be more intentional about creating resources and things to help women specifically pursue their purpose in a authentic and tangible way. So yes, just follow me on Instagram. That's my only ask. And we can hang out.
And she is definitely one that you want to hang out with, y'all. This a gem that I will reiterate to you guys is Martina was the first person that actually sold into me what I am doing right now. And that was like, wasn't that like 3 years ago? That was
Yes, that was a long
literally
time.
3 years ago. She sat down with me and we were just trying to go through who I am, what is my brand, what's my value. And we were doing this work. And I remember her feeling like, I failed you because we didn't come up with a physical product or we didn't have an X, Y, and Z. And at the time, we had no idea that I will be doing what I'm doing now. And this is the most
Yeah.
confident that I have felt in anything that I have ever launched in my life, period.
Wow.
And it's because of the seeds that she sowed into me 3 years ago. So when I tell you, she's
Adriana.
the
Oh
type of
God.
creative that, like, no, she's not going to give you a microwave response. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're going to make millions in a month. But what I do know is that I'm going to be making millions very soon, on top of impacting millions of women because of the fact that she literally
Yeah.
planted the first seeds for what the Mom Bar is. So I am so grateful for you and that you took the time to spend
Oh,
some time
thank
over
you.
here at the Mom Bar, girl.
Thank you so much. I am so proud of you, Adriana. I remember being in our meetings thinking, dang, Adriana is just gonna fire me because we are not getting nowhere. And I remember the last meeting that we had, and you were just like, this is what this was about. God needed me to sit down because I was just doing too much.
I was doing too
And
much and
I
I
remember,
rested for three
yeah,
years. And When God put the seed and the name and everything and unloaded to me what the mom bar is going to be and all the levels of it, and then he said, go back to those notes you took with Martina, all of my messaging was there. All of my marketing was there. All of looking at that progress. Look where I started. And now look how God is going to use that experience. And I was, yeah, I will talk to y'all later about this, how sometimes we be out here trying to manufacture our ministries instead of letting God do his thing. I was manufacturing something that God was like, I'm not done yet. And you're sharing a story that I'm not finished telling. And so I appreciate you. I very much so appreciate you. So y'all need to give her a follow, sign up to be a part of her creative community. Even if you don't feel like you're the most creative being, there is something that she has for you that's going to help you just figure out how to be the best creator and creative for yourself as a woman. So guys, that is it for this episode. And thank you again, Martina.
You're so welcome, y'all. Keep up with the mom bar.
I'm gonna stop the record.
I used to leave spiritual health and mental health as two separate buckets, but God cares about our mind too. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Philippians 4:8. Making the mental shift from looking for perfection and choosing progress, releasing what the world expects me to do and choosing what God called me to do, and recognizing no one has a manual to this thing called marriage, motherhood, or life was what made the difference for me. That's why at the Mom Bar, when we say we're pro mama, we really mean it. We're talking about the mama that wants to stop yelling, but that's the environment she was raised in, and the mom that feels guilty for needing 5 minutes, so she goes until she has a breaking point. And yes, we're even talking about the moms who let them kick it in their pajamas all day. It's okay, and we're here to help give you what you need to make the shift from focusing on perfection to progress. The Mind Your Motherhood, aka MIOM, is what we have created for you. It's a mental and spiritual health resource library curated for the mamas who need a starting point to renew your mind and to begin to see yourself the way God sees you. You will get devotionals, masterclasses, playlists, journals, and so much more. The only way to access this is to become a member of the Mom Bar Collective today, and you will immediately get this month's freebie straight to your inbox. Remember, Mama, you have to mind your own motherhood, and we're here to support you through it.